Alrighty. We are in Note 7 of Unit 6, and we're almost towards the finish line. These are our last new set of notes that are actually going to teach us a big new thing. After this, we have our review notes for Part 8, and we have our summative, and that'll be it. So let's go ahead and just sort of move through this slowly, make sure we get all the details, and then you'll be done with all of your major new information. So let's go ahead and get started. Our review from last time involves taking these 2 points and trying them in an equation, a table, and a graph. You can do it in any way that you want, but I want you to try it yourself before we start. So go ahead and pause and try, and then I'll show you how to do it once you're done. Okay, so you'll notice first that I have my y-intercept as one of my 2 points. So I have my y-intercept right here. I'm going to use that to start with my equation. So I have my y-intercept is -2. That means the only thing I'm missing is my slope. Well, I can do slope formula for that. It means we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. My new point is going to be 1, 1. My old point is going to be 0, -2. So I have 1 minus -2 over 1 minus 0. Well, this at the top is going to be 3. The bottom is going to be 1. That means my slope is going to be 3 over 1. Okay, I'm going to replace my question mark with this 3 then. And that gives me my equation. I can use this equation to plot my points. So I'm going to start my y-intercept of -2. And then I'm going to use my slope of 3 over 1 to do rise over run. So I can go up 3, 1, 2, 3, over 1. Up 2, 3, over 1. Up 2, 3, I'm going off the grid a little bit, over 1. I can go in reverse too. Over 1, down, 1, 2, 3. Then I'm just going to use a note card to line up the points and connect. Okay, so I have my equation and my table just by using those 2 points. Sorry, my equation and my graph. However, I can use this graph to get my table. So my first point is going to be 0, -2. I also have 1, 1. I can also do 2, 4, and I got that from looking at my table. I have 2 up to 4. Next, I have 3, 7. My last point is going to be -1, -5, giving me my table. Okay, so last time we made everything from the y-intercept in a point. This time, we're going to try to do everything from the slope in a point. The process is a little bit different, but it all works from the same core ideas. So from the same 3 equations, tables, and graphs. So we start with a prompt. Create the linear equation from the point 2/3, 2, 3, and a slope of -1. Okay, first impressions look easy. Let's set up our equation. Y equals, our slope is -1, and our y-intercept is no idea. Okay, so what's missing? We're missing our y-intercept. We need to figure out what b is. Fortunately, there's an easy way and a hard way. So, the easy way is if you have a graph. We're going to plot the point given and use rise over run to figure out the y-intercept. So, I'm going to plot my point, 2 over 3. And I'm going to use my slope of -1 to fill out the line. So, my slope is -1. I'm going to go ahead and start doing that down from this point. So down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. Okay? I'm going to follow the same pattern backwards. So over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1. And eventually, I can figure out that my y-intercept is going to be -5. So just by doing rise over run, and starting with my point, I can figure out the y-intercept easily. My b equals 5. Because that's where my y-intercept is. Okay, now what if I don't have a graph? We can still do it. And for this, let's pretend we didn't figure out that b was equal to 5. So this method takes a little bit of creativity. What do we have so far? Slope. We're going to run with what we got. So let's go ahead and set up y equals mx plus b with our slope. We're going to do y equals negative 1x plus b, since we don't know what our y-intercept is yet. Well, we're pretending we don't. Don't forget we also have a point, 2, 3. To get the y-intercept, we're going to plug in 2 for our x and 3 for our y. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in 2 for my x. I'm going to plug in 3 for my y. Okay, and then all we have to do is solve for b. Now you might remember solving for x or our variables from before. It's still the same process, but I promise this is easy. The first thing we're going to do is multiply our negative 1 and our 2. Well, that's just negative 2. I have 3 equals negative 2 plus b. Now all we have to do is cancel out our negative 2 by adding 2 to both sides. I have 5 equals b. Once again, without even a graph, we solved for b and found our y-intercept. So I can go ahead and set up my full equation. My equation is y equals negative 1x plus 5. And that's my answer to this question. All right, I'd like you to try this yourself both ways. Move down to the checking understanding and try figuring out the equation of this line from the graph and by solving for b. Do both ways and then flip to the back. Okay, so the back is pretty short actually. That leaves one last situation. What if we start with even less? So we want to create the equation of a line that connects the points 3, 0, and 1, 4. After our work from the front, this actually isn't that much of a leap. But what can we fill out so far? Well, I don't have the slope, and I don't have b. We have nothing. We need slope and y-intercept. Okay, well, slope is easy. We go ahead and use the slope formula. So y new minus y old over x new minus x old. Okay, so we take that formula and we plug in our 2 points. So we have old and we have new. I'm going to plug in 4 minus 0, 4 minus 0 over 1 minus 3. So that's going to be 4 on top, negative 2 on the bottom. Ultimately, this will be a slope of negative 2. I'm going to plug in negative 2 for my slope here. Okay, once we have our slope of negative 2, we can figure out our y-intercept. We're going to do the same plugging in thing from before. So I'm going to do y equals negative 2x plus b. I'm going to take either point. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use my new point. So I'm going to plug in 4 for y equals negative 2, 1 plus b. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and multiply my negative 2 times 1. I end up with 4 equals negative 2 plus b. I add that over. I end up with 6 equals b. That's my y-intercept. Okay, so my final equation is going to be y equals negative 2x plus 6. That's my final equation. Now, like in the front, if you have a graph available, that makes it even easier. You can just do everything from the graph. I want you to create an equation of a line that connects the points negative 2, 2. So negative 2, 2, and 2, 4. Okay, we're going to start with a rise over run, which is going to be up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 over 4. That means my slope is going to be 1/2, which is 2/4 reduced. Okay, so once I would do that, I'm going to go ahead and use rise over run again and go up 1 over 2. And that'll give me my y-intercept of 3. Okay, means I have everything I need. My equation is going to be y equals 1/2 x plus 3. And that's everything. I do rise over run to get my slope, and I use that rise over run to get my y-intercept of 3. If I wanted to, I can go ahead and connect these points to make a line. And I'm set. Okay, so at this point, you can go ahead and try the checking understanding. You're going to do the exact same thing I just did. Given these 2 points, go ahead and try to find the equation of each line. You can do this with the equation or the graph, whichever you prefer. As always, let me know if you have any questions, and thank you very much.